Is convenience bad for sustainability? So, convenience isn't something we group into good or bad, but as we shift from inconvenience to convenience, we sometimes lose some important aspects of life, one of which is empathy, to think about others. The example I like to give is the sliding door. When it's automatic, the sensor senses that you are nearby, slides open, and closes when there's no one around. So there's really nothing special to it. That's the convenience of using automatic sliding door. You don't give a second thought. And that's the thing, you don't give it a second thought. Now imagine a manual sliding door, like that of the traditional Japanese home. Once you've gone through, you begin with a process of thinking to close the door. Is there someone behind me? What if I don't close the door? Will animals get into the house? Imagine it's winter. How will it affect the people indoors if I don't close the door? And that's the big difference between inconvenience and convenience. And it matters. Take for example the smartphone. Who made our phones? Are the people at the factories being paid fairly? What about people who mine the precious metals that is being used in our smartphones? Is the environment taking a hit just so we can have the materials to make our smartphones? So while we can make arguments on how convenience negatively affects the environment and society, I think the more fundamental issue is how we lose empathy to think beyond ourselves and lose the care of what happens to nature and other people when we go for convenience. Should we avoid convenience for the sake of sustainability? We think that the opposite of convenience is inconvenience, but that is not true. For example, reusable bottles and cups. Sure, it's easier to just ask for disposable cups when you're at a cafe, but carrying around a bottle or foldable cup is not inconvenience at all. So the question is probably not about avoiding convenience, but it will be how do we implement convenience? Maybe we don't want it to be too convenient that people forget about social and environmental costs. In fact, I also do think that rather than be concerned about convenience, we should focus on improving accessibility. For example, the single mom. Finance and time are precious resources for the single mother. So how do we make sustainable products cheaper and easier to find? How do we make things more sustainable without reducing quality or convenience? Technology is the way to go, with careful use, because humans have a tendency to overreach without thinking about costs and consequences. When Zenbird was looking at circular economy, that's the circular economy during the Edo period in Japan, we saw how values and culture was at the center of this sustainable economy. Technology was the supplement, not the core. So to use technology to make things more sustainable without reducing quality or convenience, we should let values lead technology. A modern day example in Japan would be secondhand clothing. When you visit a secondhand shop, you usually find that the products are almost new because the Japanese usually tend to their possessions well. Some of you may be able to identify this as part of the mottainai thinking, which is a dislike for waste. This also means that you can find clothes which are still very wearable. A great use of technology to follow up from here will be to improve accessibility. Services where you don't have to physically go down to the store to buy, but simply go online to their websites or using their apps. We can even consider services which create a sharing economy for clothes by using a different business model which maximizes the use of clothing material. Are there any technologies that can help us live more sustainably without having to give up anything at all? Yes, there are. And the good thing is you don't have to wait for them to be invented because they are already available in the market today. Beginning with our home is a great place to start. We can make sure that we are using energy efficient appliances. We can install solar panels if your local electric companies are not able to provide renewable energy. We can purchase electric vehicles when the current car is due for replacement. In fact, if you are in Japan, you can just download an app to start living more sustainably. For For example, the MyMizu app, which allows you to find free water refilling spots around Japan, so you don't need to buy any more disposable bottles of drinks anymore.